What choice would you make? Machete or axe? Okay. Hi guys. Here we are back at the old discussion table. Last time I kind of felt that I kind of rambled a little bit too much with the old knives. What else was it? Knives and
saws.
Knives and saws.
Pruning saws.
But I think point proven that simply with a majority of things, it does come down to personal choice and also how deep your pockets are. That comes down to choice with everything, over clothes, anything in life, okay? And it's the same with bushcraft. But the point made, with beginners, you don't want to spend a fortune, do you?
No.
No. So, with regards to axes, so we move on from knives and saws to then axes, which I think is sort of everybody's
Typical American fire axe, basically.
just, you know, something that you can make points on poles with and you can hack and chop and, you know, make yourself feel like a woodsman. An axe is one of those tools that everybody kind of thinks, where do I start?
Yeah.
Our advice for pretty much all beginners would be just go to your local hardware store and pick up a local hardware store hatchet little axe.
Yeah.
How big? It's no bigger than a foot long on the handle.
Whether it be Tool Station, Screwfix, or if you're in America, Walmart.
B&Q here
Pretty
in the
much
UK.
every hardware store sells their own branded fiberglass handled axe. So,
And it doesn't have to be fiberglass handle. You can get wood handle, cheap versions where you can get like a cheap handle on them and
yeah, you get like cheap
Yeah.
spruce or pine handled axes.
okay, they're not great, but again, because of what they are, they will last a long time if you look after them. Now, you want to get into the finer details of the axe side of things. You're not going to get the lovely dark grained hickory handle. You're not going to get the lovely sort of pin in the top. You're not going to get the best grinding. You're also not going to get the best metal for the head. But you are going to get an affordable tool that does the job while you're learning. Now, a lot of people are very scary or wary rather around axes. Well, yeah, because there's a way to use them. There's safety that needs to be involved. You need to be in your own chopping space. You know, you have to have the right stance, the right distance from you and the thing you're chopping. All those things need to be sort of brought into play when using an axe. But when choosing one to buy and you're a beginner, hardware store's the place to go.
Yeah,
You're going to spend, what, 15 to 20 quid?
It's just like when you're buying your first car, you don't want a brand new BMW to learn in.
It's going to get banged
You don't
up.
want a brand new £90 Hultafors axe. You know, you want something that you can beat up, play with, you know, and learn with.
Like the Mora knife. It's cheap and cheerful. You know you can batter it around. While you're learning, it doesn't matter.
This has been hammered because the edge on the end of it is ruined. I don't know if you can see that, but
yeah. So short and sweeten it, really, without too much of my personal waffle, which comes from my personal opinion. And a lot of what we're saying here is personal opinion, but I think generally in practice, most bushcrafters, most woodsmen would probably say a similar thing to what we're saying. So yeah, we kind of go from, we will show you more costly versions of what we're about to show you here, but they're not that costly, because again, I haven't got deep pockets, neither has Matt.
nope.
You know, you want to treat yourself down the line when you've kind of learnt your craft. It's second nature to swing an axe. You know all the safety. You're not then missing your target and hitting the shaft and knackering the neck of the axe up. You've got past all those teething problems. You know some more refined techniques. You're going to want to spend a bit of money and get a nicer axe. But again, doesn't have to cost the earth.
And obviously axes can be heavy, depending on the poundage of the head, and you know, if you're somebody like us that hasn't got access to your own transport and you either walk or you get public transport to the places that you go in, you're going to have to carry this.
You've got to bear weight in mind.
It's extra weight in your pack.
Yeah.
So if you don't want a big heavy axe, then you could go for
I think a nice
a
comparison.
machete.
Yeah. Something that, in my opinion, will do a lot of what an axe can do, but it's more lightweight, more versatile, obviously more safety, I think, involved, given the size of the blade that you're having to deal with. That's your sharp edge that you're going to be swinging around yourself and other people, you know?
And obviously I've put a wrap on it because the wood of the handle's
It
naff,
was
so-
crap. So basically what we got there was, we thought, well, we wanted to try out a machete, but we didn't want something that's 6 foot long, like a sword, like some jungle clearing machetes can be.
The bolo machetes.
Bolo machetes, things like that are massive. We didn't want to spend a fortune either. So we looked to the British military machete. Literally, I think we got from a Army and Navy store. Oh, you're getting involved today, are you?
Hiya.
It's Cherry. Cutest. So yeah. Oh, she's gone again.
She's gone
Short and sweet, but hey ho. So yeah, British military machete, and it comes in this case, like a nylon kind of rucksack type material.
It's waterproof lining on the inside.
It's weird, and it's lined with like a shiny waterproof edge, but it has the higher clip, which is always difficult for my hands to undo, but you know it's not coming undone. So basically you would weave your belt in between those two metal prongs there, okay, and then around the press studs it has Velcro, if you can see that there. And then when you close it down and you press the studs, that ain't going anywhere once it's on your belt. It doesn't slide around, it tends not to move, it stays in place. And you can either have it hanging a bit lower down or have it a bit higher up, depending on your preference. Now we put an old rucksack strap around it and then wrap some of this gun wrap around it, basically to make a clip for a Mora knife to go on the front. And again, this is another shout out to Really Big Monkey One. I took what he has done with a modification on a lot of his machetes, and he did something similar so that he could attach then a knife. So you've got then a knife machete combo. You could do the smaller, finer work with the knife, you know, your little trimming of your edges, making your little stop cuts, your notches, things like that. But you can also do the bigger work with the machete. So you've got like a lovely combo together of a knife and an axe. Works really well.
And all your tools are in one place. Then.
Yeah, it's all together. We haven't really got that on there to show. It's somewhere buried in a bag, but that's what that's on there for. So yeah, I kind of tried to have a go at grinding my own edge on a grinder, and I kind of knackered this blade up.
Well,
that's why it looks like a mess.
That's another example as to why you get a cheap tool to begin with, because if you want to modify it, do things yourself, then you can, and it's not a big worry.
I mean, for 15, 20 quid, 20, 25 quid, I wasn't that bothered.
Yeah, and about 15 quid for typical hardware axe.
So again,
hardware store axe.
When you're in the beginnings of all this bushcraft malarkey, and you're wanting to invest in an axe, you're wanting to perhaps invest in a machete. Not everybody does. We got both, because you don't know till you try these things. And a small investment is worth the experience. It really, really, really is. Then you can then see which one you prefer. Quite strangely for me, I float between the two. I always have.
Depends what we're doing, what trip we're on,
and again,
where we're going.
Yeah, it is more sort of place specific, where you're going and what kind of things you're intending to do. If it is just for, say for example, slinging up the hammocks, and you know all you're going to be doing is processing wood for a fire, then you don't really need to take an axe or a machete. You can literally get by with the Condor Bush Law or a Mora, heavy duty Mora, and a silky saw or the Baco Laplander. Just a saw and a knife combo will help you process enough wood for a 1, maybe 2 night fire.
And if you want to do a clandestine camp where you're trying to keep quiet and you don't, you're near a built-up area maybe.
Yeah.
You don't want a big axe where you're hitting and
a lot of noise, a lot of impact, gives your location away.
So just having a saw and a knife takes away the temptation to make a lot of noise.
Yeah. The only difference and trouble with that is really I would take an axe, say on a shelter building weekend. If If you're going to go away and you're just taking a tarp, you're not taking your hammocks, and you want to build yourself a shelter with perhaps a raised bed in it, you want to build pot hangers, you want to build fire reflectors. If you're going into all the real bushcrafty, skill-orientated trip out, then take an axe. Definitely. An axe and a saw combo with a knife, you are made for that weekend. There should be nothing you can't handle on a bushcraft weekend with an axe, a saw, and a knife. Now, as standard, no matter what we're doing, we will always have a knife. Matt will have a knife, I'll have a knife.
Yeah.
Without fail. You'll find you will miss it big time. But then you decide, what do you intend to do with your trip? Is it just to go out and chill, sling up the hammocks, have a fire, then just stick to knife and saw?
If you're using prefabricated shelters like tents, hammocks, because tarps and hammocks are all pre-made, so you just got to go and set it up, things like that. Then you don't really need these tools.
No.
For some people, these may not even be an option, and that's fine.
May never want to get into that side of things, but for us, we like to make, we like to create, we like to build, even though it is tiring. We love all that sides of things. We like to be able to create something, use it, and find that it works when we use it. And that to us is learning skills that you wouldn't ordinarily use. Like I say, like making a pot hanger. There's so many different types of pot hangers that you can make. Single stick pot hangers, you can do the old 3 tripod pot hangers, things like that.
This is just is it a regular?
It's just a regular bog standard British military machete.
British military machete, yeah.
And it's only short. Again, it's about a foot long. Fits in your pack really handy, and it's lightweight. So, before I waffle too much and digress too much, those are just sort of some of the things you need to think about before you purchase your axe or your machete. Again, it's preference and choice. Most people pick either one or the other. We, because we're a bit greedy, pick both. Now we're going to move on from the cheaper options when you're beginning and just starting out to what we now use
permanently.
4 years on permanently. Those two are really for home use.
Yeah, keep just spares in case our regular gear breaks or something wrong.
So, right, I'll pass you your axe, Matt.
This is mine.
Okay. And there are subtle differences between these two axes. Yours is Halter Force.
Yeah. I always get confused between Halter Force and Gransfors Brooks, I think it is, or Husqvarna. It might be. Yeah.
Now, basically, the two types of axe we're going to show you now, a little bit more costly and have a few differences between your bog standard axe you'll get at your hardware.
It's a hickory handle, and it's Swedish metal, I think it is.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know the specific the number for the metal, but
no, I'm not too sure on that. But they're definitely forged in Sweden, basically.
Yeah, they're hand forged, handmade.
Yeah, and show them the stamp there on the side. I know it's a bit unclear, but there is a maker's stamp by Halter Force.
And it's hand forged when it's got a stamp in it. So.
Yeah, proper hefty stamp. Not too sure on the weight, but it's not a mega heavy weight.
It's £3, I think it is, or £1.50.
Yeah, probably about £1.50, £1.75. Yours is a little bit slimmer, and I'll show you in a second.
And
comparison.
The profile on the beard compared to the other one, is a lot thinner. You can see that.
Yeah, you can see the head's a lot bigger from the standard sort of B&Q sort of axe. Yeah, definite difference in size. Better metal,
sharp as hell. From the minute you buy it,
retains its edge really well.
It retains its edge for months and months and months. You only have to sharpen it probably once every 3 to 4 months if you've got heavy use.
Yeah, and it's just a light rub basically with a Lansky's puck stone that has a hard coarse grit on one side and a smooth grit on the other side. Smooth grit rub, and then I literally just give it a bit of a strop. Most people say don't, but I do just to take that fine burr off. It keeps that edge.
After a while, your handle will get really mucky. So what we do is we get a scouring pad, or
every now and again,
a bit of toilet paper or tissue paper. Give it a wet and just rub it down, and it'll get all the muck, and it'll bring the grain back up in the hickory as well.
Finish it off with a little bit of linseed, and that helps feed the wood, keeps it supple, stops it drying out and cracking.
Yeah.
Shows that grain up really well.
And I normally do have a leather cover that goes underneath the head. So if you miss what you're hitting, you don't want to chip or break
the neck of
the handle. So, but yeah, about £45 on the internet. Probably I'd say
about 45, 50 quid.
$50 to $60 maybe in America if you're from America.
Swedish,
but it's
made.
Swedish made.
Good quality, and a good quality axe. If you don't mind me jumping in, a good way to sort of show it is, as you look down the length of the axe, okay, you'll see the grain running down the length of the shaft in pretty much a straight line, in line with this going down. That shows you a very well picked, strong axe handle. That's how to determine a good handle from a bad handle. Just hand you that back. Yep. Right, so now we'll show mine, which again is by a Swedish company called Husqvarna. I think they make motorbikes and chainsaws, knives, drills, screwdrivers. They do lots of tools, okay? And Husqvarna do a nice little tiny forest axe. Now this, if you just grab yours a sec, Matt. Yeah, mine's a little bit shorter.
Yours is 3/4 length.
There you go. Bit shorter than Matt's. But certainly...
mine's bigger.
Mine does exactly the same as what Matt's does. It really means... All it means is that he can just express a little bit more power with his swing because it's a longer axe. Mm-hmm. So he can get a bit more power when chopping. I wasn't really that arsed. I wanted something shorter that could fit in my pack so that if I'm doing a day pack and I want to take the axe, that will fit nicely in a nice little day pack, hidden away, boom, not a problem. With the longer one, it can tend to stick up into the top of the bag, the roof of the bag sticks out of it.
Even if you've got a 60 to 80 litre backpack, it still sticks to the top and you can feel it in your back.
It's a little bit too long for a day pack. So I wanted to be able to sort of accommodate both options because I'm like a multi-use tool guy. I like a tool I can use in multiple different scenarios, so I'm covered for every eventuality. Husqvarna, Swedish. You can see again the stamp in the metal.
I think they've blackened off.
I think they may have blackened it off a bit. It is a really nice axe. Again, for quality comparison between mine and Matt's, I think they're both on par. They're both pretty much the same.
The head profiles are completely different.
Matt's is more sort of straight through there, whereas mine tends to flare out a little bit more. But it is a smaller head.
The profiles on the head are completely different as well.
Matt's there through there is thinner and a little bit longer, whereas mine kind of is a bit more bulging on the cheek fronts here.
Yeah.
So basically what I'm saying is instead of it being like that, if you look at the bend of my fingers, mine looks a bit more like that. So it's just a little bit thicker across that width. Okay. And again, that's just a leather guard.
And again, those two axes are roughly about the same price, about £45 to £50.
Yeah. About the 50 quid mark. And again, that was like the Condor bushel or knife around the 50 quid mark. I don't see the reason for going anywhere up near the top end region of £100 when you can spend up to say 50 and get something of exactly the same kind of quality.
And a lot of these online stores now do big sales, so you can pick them up for £30 to £40 in a sale.
They shop around it. And then we move on then from, we've done sort of his axe, my axe kind of comparison, both pretty much similar apart from size difference, as Matthew so kindly pointed out. Then we then go over to my baby. Okay, this was bought for me as a gift by Matt and his mum. Again, it's something I haven't taken really out very much because me being me, I went and chose the heavy duty option, which really, if I'd have thought about a standard option, perhaps would have been ample. But it was a nice gift, and I will just show it off purely because it is another fine example of cost and quality. You don't need to break the bank.
Even though we said Condor is quite a budget brand to go with, they do very expensive, fancy
they do. Yeah.
types of equipment. So if you want to spend the money on fancy equipment, then you can do with Condor because they do it.
Yeah. So basically, it comes with a really nice sheath, okay, made El Salvador, Spain, okay. Really nice and thick, but it's nice and finished off with the stitching and the studs. 2 press studs to release. Okay, those come out of the way, and you just slip the machete backwards out of the sheath. Now, it's been used, definitely. Again, has a different kind of grind on it. It's a kukri, and not straight like the British military. So it has a different grind on it, on the front of there. And the belly, which is this part of the machete, is where majority of the work will take place. Okay. Now you can use the drop point there for, making holes and things. You can come up close and use this inner bit for finer work.
Like a knife.
Like a knife. Yeah, so you get multiple use. But it is heavy. I mean, this thing can be beaten upon. You can swing this thing with all your might and you ain't gonna break it.
No.
Just look at the thickness of the metal they've used. Hence why it's a heavy duty version.
And this is £120.
£120. Okay. A lot of money spent on this. Now, I think the standard version, is about 80, 90. The reason why you're paying more money is because you're paying for more metal. It's a thicker version to make it a heavy duty version, because I wanted something that I could rely upon, that I could swing around and beat upon and have absolutely no worries whatsoever of it breaking. But again, a fine example. And we are not sponsored by Condor, but we do like Condor. In practice, we've used them. They're affordable and just lovely, really well made. Brass pins. And you've got a little hole there, you can put like a lanyard through so you can have it nice and secure around your wrist while you're using it. Just a beautiful, fine example.
The differences between the low-end gear and the more expensive gear is the low-end gear is that low quality that it's not really worth maintaining them or sharpening them or
you do to a degree.
To a degree, but you don't want to spend a lot of time on it. But with the high-end gear, the more time you spend looking after them, the longer they will last you.
Nice belt loop on the back.
The longer they stay sharper, and you could pass that down to your children if you looked after it.
Yeah, again, it should last an absolute lifetime if looked after. Just treat your handle, keep things clean, stop it getting rusted, keep it dry. But again, it's not a massive size, so it will fit in a day pack. And one word of warning, when you're first starting out, there are certain things that you may or may not know. And I will err on the side of caution that the majority of people won't know, especially in the UK. And I think for most places. You can't strap that on your belt and walk out of your house, get in your car, drive wherever you're going to, get out of your car, walk into your location, wearing that on your belt.
No, you'll get arrested.
From home to location, your knives, your saws, your axes, your machetes, all your blades must be hidden away out of public view in your bag. That is an absolute must.
It's law in the UK.
Law. Okay.
Anything like that has to be concealed. It's the same with air rifles as well.
You know what I mean? I think that just makes common sense, you can't just strap all your tools to your belt and walk off out your house thinking like you're going to be alright.
Swanning around the streets and you get a SWAT team that turn up because you're walking around with a 12-inch blade on
You've
your
got
hip,
no reason whatsoever to be carrying something that vicious looking on your belt in the street, even if you're just going from your house to your parked car.
Other people will perceive it as a weapon, but it is a tool.
It is a tool.
It is a tool. So
they
they are legal to own, otherwise they wouldn't be sold.
Legal to own them and legal to be used under the right circumstances, but not to be carried in the streets. No. Big no-no. But when you're out in the field and you get it out your pack, then you strap everything onto your belt, you're good to go. And I'm not being funny. You wouldn't really want that strapped to your belt for very long. If you're stationary and you're doing a specific job in your chopping area and you're building a shelter, fine, pop that on your belt. When you're done, take it off, put it back in your pack, and you're not having to carry all that weight around.
Yeah, it's too heavy.
It's too heavy. All your majority of your jobs can be batoned and done with your Condor bushel or your knife, and again, your saw.
But again, we're just trying to show you that you don't need to spend the money like that.
No.
That will do exactly the same job. That
There's
will.
that. Just that's a little bit lightweight to swing around.
You know, it'll take you a couple of more swings to chop the bit of wood or do whatever you're doing, but it'll get the job done.
Yeah.
So,
I just wanted to treat something a bit fancy, but this just kind of shows you the other end that you can go to. And believe me, you can go more expensive than that. You really can.
yeah.
But I personally have fell in love with Condor as a company, and I think right across the range of knives and axes, they have done a fantastic job for an affordable price. So again, your personal choice, but when you're starting out, go with the cheaper options every time. You know, there's nothing wrong with them. They do the job, they get the job done. Why not? So there you go. There's our short video on, again, moving up from knives and saws to axes and machetes. It's a bit of an area where a lot of people are a bit scared to go. They don't really know where to start. They don't know how to handle these things. We will perhaps in the future do a little bit on maybe safety and how to use these
More
things.
importantly,
Yeah.
You need to research the laws in your country, your area where you live.
It's different.
It's different everywhere. So the first thing you need to do before you even think about buying these things is look at the laws that govern your area on these
blade laws.
yeah, blade laws, things like that. You know. So,
But like I say, I think for majority of places around the world, as long as these things are buried in your bag, till you get out into the wilderness, you're good to go.
Yeah.
Pretty much anywhere around the world. So yeah, that's
and just respect them because
safety.
they'll respect you.
Safety. And again, whilst using these, make sure you've got a very good Sharps first aid kit. Has all your bandages, paper stitches. Really good place to start. You do yourself a really boo-boo. It happens with a machete, you're busy talking or you miss and you just catch your finger, you slice it, you've got a bad cut. You don't want to end your trip just based on a bad cut. You don't want to go to A&E. All they do is clean it out, slap paper stitches on and put a cover over it.
Unless your trip ruined.
That's your trip ruined. So you can still continue if you've got a good Sharps first aid kit with a few bandages, a few gauze pads and some paper stitches that you can buy online. You can get all that stuff sent to your house, compile it all together in a pack. You've got yourself a good cuts first aid kit. Some antiseptic cream, some, wash you can wash it out with.
We'll do a video breaking down a first aid kit and the essential parts for first aid kit for bushcrafting.
As long as you cover burns and cuts, I think you're pretty much covered.
So we'll do a video if that's what you guys want.
Yeah, we can do that. A little bit of a short one, show that. I mean, I carry medication with myself as well because I have pills and potions to take while I'm out. But again, little pots where you can organise things so you're not carrying all your pills with you. Just take what you need. Literally just take what you think you're going to need.
Yeah.
You can't go far wrong. Again, common sense. You don't have to take the world, but you have to make sure you've got the stuff you're going to be perhaps needing, given you're using some of these Sharps. So yeah, I hope that pretty much covers a lot of things.
Thank you very much for listening.
Cheers for listening and cheers for watching.
Hope you take our advice or hope you've learned something from this.
Maybe, yeah. And this is just, in our opinion, in our experience of 4 years. Don't take us as gospel.
No.
But just from 4 years bushcrafting, this is what we have experienced over that time. So I hope it's been of some use. And don't forget to pop over and check our Patreon page.
The link is in the description.
Link is always in the description. Don't forget to like, share, and most of all, subscribe. If you're new to the channel, click on subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way then you'll get notified every time we do a video of something similar that may be of interest to you. Otherwise, you're potentially going to miss getting that notification and miss seeing that video.
Yeah.
And everything you'll find really on our channel is now put into playlists.
Yeah.
It makes it a little bit easier for you to find certain things. We do urbex and paranormal thrown in there a little bit as well. But mainly bushcraft, that's where our passion lies. So yeah, you got anything you want to add?
No, that's everything. So yeah, thank you very much for watching.
Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.